Yes. So I'll give you guys a brief overview in regards to the Golden Visa process, and then we'll go. I'll also help you guys go through a bit of projects, and then Sarah will kind of go through the kind of the detailed the process aspect of acquiring the Golden Visa. With that said, I would like to introduce myself first and to everybody who's there. So my name is Yared. I'm a broker, real estate advisor here in Portugal at Nest Seeker's office in Portugal. I live in Cascais, which is more or less around 20 minutes outside of Lisbon. Been here for the last 6 years. Been working with Nest Seekers here for the last 2 years. So yeah, so that's been super exciting, obviously, thus far. I have 3 kids, 2 of them born here in Portugal, so I consider myself Portuguese residents, even though my Portuguese is a work in progress, let's put it like that. But definitely been, I mean, super excited. I mostly work with international clients. Can definitely have kind of a expat goggles on, as I've been to kind of most people's position in regards to kind of relocate. So I work mostly with international clients looking to invest and kind of maybe move to Portugal as well. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Obviously, after this webinar is done in regards to the presentation, we're going to have a bit of a Q&A at the end as well. Hopefully there's time for that. I want to be respectful for everyone's time. We're going to be around an hour. So with that said, maybe I can pass it to you, Sarah, and maybe you can kind of introduce yourself.
Yes, of course. So can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So first of all, thank you for the invitation to be here today. My name is Sarah. I'm an immigration lawyer in Portugal, also partner of Prime Legal law firm. I work with the Golden Visa since the beginning of the program in 2012. So you can imagine that I have already assisted more than 2,000 clients in terms of the different immigration programs to Portugal, not only Golden Visa, but also the other ones that exist and citizenship applications. I work mostly with individual clients, foreign clients that have some connection with Portugal, being the residency perspective, or even any kind of other investments or real estate in Portugal. I'm also president of the Portuguese Association of Immigration Relocation in Portugal, so PER. And today I'm here to give a little bit of highlights on the Golden Visa program, the proceedings, the changes in the law, and what's new and what's to have in mind when doing this program, which basically it's one of the most successful programs of residency by investment, not only in Europe, but in the world. And that's why we have so many applicants from all the different jurisdictions around the globe.
Great. John?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you so much, Yared, for hosting this so graciously. I am John Carbone. I'm the Managing Director at Park Avenue Nest Seekers. I oversee team building, listing servicing, international partnerships in Portugal, Colombia, Costa Rica, and of course, you know, naturally New York City and the tri-state area. My job has grown in the past few months to servicing some of our exciting new markets that we've been operating in, most notably Portugal. So I am very excited to share with you when my time comes to talk a little bit about what Nest Seeker's advantages and what our comparative strengths are compared to other companies that are what I like to think of as international in name only. We have a very strong referral network internationally. We have a very strong brand presence, not only in the United States, but of course abroad. And we are always growing across geographies and asset classes to better service our clients wherever they are and whichever markets they're in, not just by country, but by hard assets. So whether it is an aviation question, whether it is a yachting question, whether it is a real estate question, whether it's an investment question, in terms of investing in international funds or even pre-development advisory, we do everything. So I will speak a little bit about that, but thank you so much for having me, Yared, and thank you so much for joining us, Sarah.
Wonderful. Nice to have you, John. Yeah, I mean, this is so maybe I'll just start by kind of presenting, as I said. So we'll do just a broad overview with me, and then Sarah will go in kind of in depth. And as I mentioned, there's probably going to be tons of questions during this session, and if you have any questions, we'll most likely put our contacts in here. If not, feel free to reach out. There's probably tons of questions, follow-up questions that we might not have the time to answer. So we'll definitely add our contacts list here, and we can do that. With that said, I'll probably just share my screen here with everybody and see if I can. Yeah. So here we are. Maybe is everybody seeing this okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, great. So let me just so there we go. So basically, so why we are here today is to talk about the Golden Visa, and especially why Portugal. Obviously, we have the fortunate situation where we have offices both in US, several cities in the US, as well as Portugal. So we definitely feel that we have an inside track on kind of understanding American clientele looking towards Portugal. So obviously Portugal has become a very popular attraction in regards to investment opportunities, and at least obviously the Golden Visa process. So this is why we hope to shed some light, maybe get some context in regards to people who are curious about this, if it's for you, if it's for clients, vice versa. So yeah, so just to kind of give you some broad understanding in regards to the program. So anyone who's kind of acquiring the Golden Visa program is basically what includes in that is you get EU citizenship. So that means that you can operate and roam, move freely within the 27 European countries in the Schengen area. So that's most likely the kind of the broad fundamentals of why you acquire the Golden Visa. Obviously, people have different kind of goals in regards to it, but obviously kind of that would be the main aspect of the process. So what does that mean in kind of having a European citizenship? Obviously, as mentioned, so you can move freely within the EU countries. You have free medical coverage, free education within most EU countries. You can live, work, and study across the EU nations as well. So obviously now with the world looking at as it does in regards to that, so kind of citizenships in other countries, especially in the EU countries, have been popular as well. So yeah. So I don't know how well versed everybody is with Portugal as a country. Obviously, kind of me being here for the last 6 years, but I'll just give everybody a broad overview in regards to the country, just so you have some context. I know what everybody here is at different levels in regards to the investment opportunities here in Portugal. So obviously in Portugal, you have 3 major metropolitan areas, I would say. So it would be Lisbon, Porto, and Algarve. So Lisbon is obviously the capital city. Here you have obviously the whole country is in regards to tourism very heavy, but in Lisbon is also a very strong international commercial hub. Here you have very big events, if not least the Web Summit, which I think is one of the biggest tech summits in the world, which I believe it was a couple of weeks ago. It's in every November. You have a very, very strong and growing crypto community here in Portugal, especially in Lisbon as well. And then you have a very strong startup scene. Many companies are starting to set up shops here in Portugal and in Lisbon region. If it's not call centers, it's varies of job opportunities as well. And then you have Porto, which is the second largest city. Here, key industries here is tourism and hospitality. I would also maybe like to add, you have here the wine district Douro, which produces some of the best wines in the world, and very famous for that as well. And then you have the Algarve region, which is kind of the beach resort, high-end luxury areas, and kind of growing in residential units and kind of aspirations as well. But that's basically the three kind of biggest regions in regards to kind of the country. Also, Portugal has kind of been pretty good at advertising themselves as a country, I would say. One of the things that they kind of are and should be very proud of is kind of being in top of the World Safety Index. So they're number 4. So basically, it's one of the safest countries in the world to ever live in, which obviously plays a huge role in people's decisions. Also in regards to the retirement index as well. So I mean, so people would ask why invest or why Portugal. So obviously you have the weather, which plays a big factor. I mean, I don't know where people are here in the world, but Portugal has I mean, more or less 300 days of sunshine. I've been here. I can really attest to that. So amazing weather, mild winters, and great summers as well. Also really good in the healthcare system. Portugal ranks 12th in the best healthcare systems in the world. Ahead of countries like UK, Germany, and my home country, Sweden as well. So, and I think, so we see there that Canada is 30th and America is actually 37th. So Portugal has some of the most healthiest people in the world in regards to that. So, and then also you have the good educational system, very English fluency. I mean, in the metropolitan areas, especially, you can people definitely speak English. I mean, I would say one of the top English-speaking countries in Europe, and definitely ahead of countries like Spain, France, Germany, where the English language is a little bit not so good. So obviously, and then you have the beach, the tourism, which is kind of the main export for Portugal. Porto and Lisbon being in the forefront of that. In regards to kind of weekend destinations and holidays kind of in general. So just to give everybody just a broad stroke regarding the Golden Visa. So it's been around since 2012. Thus far, Portugal has issued 27,465 residence permits for their investors and their families. So it's been around for a little bit of time. Just to kind of give everybody a little bit of a broad overview regarding numbers. I think what's interesting here is on your bottom right corner, you can see that the majority of the acquired Golden Visa has been via real estate. Also worth mentioning here is the nationality. So you can see kind of China, Brazil, Turkey, South Africa, and Russia has been in the leading forefront thus far in regards to the Golden Visa. But obviously what we're seeing here the last couple of years is North American kind of really climbing up in this interest. And I can also, maybe Sarah can kind of touch on that, but if I'm not mistaken, I think North Americans are in the top for 2022 in regarding to acquiring the Golden Visa.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So we had a big change in terms of the country from where we have most of the applicants. In the beginning was mostly from Asia and from Brazil, and Brazil for natural reasons. But recently, since 2020, the American investors is growing a lot. Together with UK residents, of course, because of Brexit. But we are feeling a huge demand from US for very different reasons. So I can tell for personal experience, I have young people coming just to develop here business, and because of the cost of life, that is 1/4 when comparing with the US cost of life. We have young couples considering already the education of their children. We have couples that are doing the Golden Visa to prepare in a more advanced age the retirements, so in a medium term. And we have already pensionists, so retired people, actually very old clients, deciding just to enjoy the golden years here in Portugal with the safety, the security, and the peaceful society that we have, and that we welcome all the communities in Portugal, regardless any kind of bias against race, sex, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally agree with that. I think also what's interesting, just to kind of add on that, is maybe here also, maybe you can also confirm, but I think American or North Americans are among the tops in regards to tourism for Portugal this year. So I think that's also is a little bit correlated. So
yeah, definitely. Because even during COVID, we had the experience of being one of the safest countries in the world with a good health system giving reply to all the demands without any kind of distinguishment between if they were residents or non-residents. So even during COVID, we had a lot of people deciding to stay in Portugal for that period of the quarantine or whatever. And after COVID, when the borders were open, we are receiving people from everywhere. All the countries, it's actually one of Portugal is winning for several continuous years as best destination for terms of tourism, but definitely the American tourist is discovering Portugal, and it's actually funny because they don't go only for the big cities. We feel that the American investors and the American tourists, they like to discover the country with everything that we have different from US, and they go even to the interior, to the islands, to know a little bit more about our culture, and they appreciate a lot all the details we have to offer, including the countrysides, the beach sides, and even vineyard production, which is very successful amongst the Americans.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously there's tons of upside of Portugal. I definitely understand that. And as we mentioned before, also, I think, as you can see, those countries that were in the driving force in regards to the Golden Visa before has had a long relationship regarding Portugal. So US market for Portugal for US people is a little bit new. So that's why it's a very growing market. So I'm expecting also those numbers to kind of look a little bit different in the years moving forward. So yeah, super interesting, especially with tourism kind of spilling over into investment opportunities as well. You see that a lot. So also here, I think Sarah will probably cover this a little bit on her presentation, but a little bit about requirements also. So you have obviously no age limit and no educational limit in regards to kind of who can acquire, and requirements in regards to the Golden Visa. And then also, I mean, just to kind of to sum it up, in regards to kind of what Portugal kind of stands for. So obviously you have free educational for kids, protected healthcare system for parents, and overall a very, very family oriented and friendly country in regards to that. So yeah, that was just kind of a broad overview in regards to Portugal as a country and kind of the Golden Visa as a kind of investment tool to kind of give you everybody a bit of insight and context in regards to that. I'll pass it over to you, Sarah, and then you can kind of shed some more light into this. Hold on, let me just stop. No. Hold on. Sarah, can you share your screen, Sarah? No?
Yes, so let me just open here. Give me a second so I can share the screen. So I think you can see it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So first of all, I would like to clarify the concept of the Golden Visa program. The Golden Visa, it's what we call a RBI program. So it's a residency by investments program, which means that by doing an investment eligible in the Portuguese territory, the main investor can obtain a residency permit, which leads to citizenship in Portugal and consequently to the European citizenship in terms of Europe. So basically, becoming a Portuguese, you automatically become European, and you can benefit from the fourth freedoms we have in Europe in terms of circulation of people, capital, work in any place, and provide services in any European country. The advantage of the Golden Visa is, and it's the main topic that distinguishes the Golden Visa from other immigration programs, is the fact that you do not need to live in Portugal, okay? So you do the investments, you get a residency permit, you have some requirements in terms of minimum presence that are only 7 days a year. And with that, you can access after 5 years to a permanent residency card if you want, or to the citizenship. And this means that it's the most flexible program that exists, even when comparing with other programs, and there are other European countries that offer similar programs. This, in terms of flexibility, is one of the best. Allows you a very extensive mobility, because in terms of Portuguese territory, it will allow you to work, live, travel, study, benefit from health care in the Portuguese territory. But in terms of Schengen area, it can be used as a Schengen visa. So you can use it to travel around the Schengen area, which is actually very good, especially when mobility is needed. Other important topic on this program is there are several options of investment, and we will go on them to clarify. But the main topic is, with one investment, the investor can reunify the family member, and this means that the direct family members, they can also have a residency card, that will allow them to have the exactly same rights. So they can, if they want, live in Portugal, study in Portugal, work in Portugal, or just to spend the 7 days in Portugal and use it to travel around Schengen area. With the possibility also of, after 5 years, also access to the Portuguese citizenship and consequently the European citizenship. An additional topic on this is Golden Visa program has no tax impact, which means that by doing the Golden Visa program and by getting a residency card, you are not subject to taxation in Portugal. You are only subject to taxation if you decide to relocate permanently to Portugal, which you can also do with the Golden Visa if you want. But the main topic is, if you don't want, you don't need it, you will not be subject. And the same happens with citizenship. Even after you obtain the Portuguese passport and consequently Portuguese and European citizenship, you are not subject to taxation, because the criteria to tax here in Portugal is totally independent of the holding a residency card or a citizenship or a passport. So this to say that with this program, what the investor gains is the opportunity to have a residency card, the direct path to citizenship for him and for the family, provided that an eligible investment is done in the Portuguese territory. So in terms of the options of investments, actually the law currently has 8 different options of investments. To be honest, and I worked with the Golden Visa since 2012, only 3 to 4 options are of the preference of the investors. So although we have options for cultural support or artistic support, or even scientific and technological research, or even the corporate option where you can invest in a company and create jobs positions, or just to create jobs positions without any kind of investments. The truth is that most of the applicants, regardless the origin country, so regardless being American, Chinese, Brazilian, South African, they do prefer and they do choose to go on the Golden Visa between 2 routes. The investment fund option, which will be $500,000 investment in a venture capital fund in Portugal, or under the real estate. And here definitely the statistics shows that real estate is the most successful option between all the investors, regardless the origin country. And the reason of this happens probably regards to the fact that the real estate option is the oldest option in the Golden Visa, and it can be divided into 2 different options. We can divide it into a $500,000 option, where the minimum amount is $500,000, and it can be in any kind of real estate, including several real estates to fulfill the $500,000, or the option of the 350, where we are dealing with all the real estates and the purchase together with the refurbishing of that real estate. So let me show here in detail. Sorry. For instance, the first option and the most traditional option, which is the $500,000 investment in real estate. So as I mentioned, it can be any kind of real estate. So it means a shop, a plot, an apartment, a hotel share, a hotel unit, a touristic villa, serviced apartments. And of course, the client can purchase several real estates in order to fulfill the $500,000 investments. Also important in this option, it's possible to do co-ownership. We have several cases where we have brothers and sisters, or parents and sons, or for instance, friends purchasing more expensive real estates and dividing the investments, provided that each of the applicant or the family does $500,000 investment in that real estates or group of real estates. Other than that, it's also important to say that's different from other residency by investments programs. The Portuguese one allows you to explore your property. So this means that you can purchase a property and rent it here in Portugal in order to have an income with that investment. So it's important to have that in mind, because not only for short rentals, but also for long-term rentals, or even for office and services rentals. And because Portugal is a touristic destination, and now also a retirement destination and a study destination, you can have here several markets that you can have the opportunity to explore and to allocate your real estate in order to have some income. And besides that, is also important to highlight that the program allows you to apply and actually to receive your card, your residency permit, before you have the definitive acquisition and ownership of the real estates. And why? Because in Portugal, we have the institution of the promissory agreements. So it's the middle contract, and mostly useful when we are under or before ongoing projects, off-plan projects, rehabilitation projects, where the sale is not yet possible because still finishing the construction, is still getting the license. So it's possible to move on instead of being waiting, and to apply and to get the card with this promissory agreement that is duly signed by the parties and duly registered in the before the Portuguese Land Office. So here it's important to highlight that. One thing that I will mention a little bit further in our conversation today is the eligibility of the real estates. So I mentioned that all the real estates are okay for this option, but we have to pay attention to the geographic location of the real estates. That is a recent amendment, is the 2022 amendments to the program. So later on, I will explain the difference in terms of the location of the real estates. So the second option of the real estate investments opportunities that we were speaking by comparing with the $500,000 is the 350 option. And here the value of investment is inferior because the government, Portuguese government, they try to attract the rehabilitation of the cities, the recovery of the Portuguese real estate. And that's why the amount of investment is inferior, is to try to attract more people to this option. And the big difference here is it can also be any kind of real estate, but the real estate needs to be or with more than 30 years old or located in an urban rehabilitation area. And besides the acquisition, you should also hire the refurbishing works, but it's not on top of the 350, it's within the 350. So 350 here will be the minimum value that you should spend between purchase and refurbishing of the real estate, so that you can move on in terms of the application to the Golden Visa. And even in this case, it's possible to move on with the promissory contracts instead of the definitive real estate acquisition. So, as I mentioned, now it's mostly important to decide first, of course, the option of investment, $500,000 or 350. So any real estate or all real estates. And then the second topic is the location. And why? Since this year in January, we had amendments to the program. And those amendments to the program, they decided to create a limitation in terms of areas that are now eligible for purpose of using the real estate for the Golden Visa application. And the reason of this amendment was to protect the local communities because of the increases of the price. If you consult some statistics about the real estate in Portugal, you can see that in the last 8 years, the increase of the prices were around 20%. So actually, there were very good deals and the valorization of most of the investors so far, which creates also here the perspective of trying to push the investment more to the interior of Portugal. As such, we now have geographic restrictions that are relevant when choosing the real estate so that it can be eligible for the Golden Visa. And these geographic restrictions, they only apply to habitational real estate. What this means? This means that, for instance, if we are speaking about services, real estate, so offices, shops, restaurants, lands for agricultural purposes, hotels, apart hotels, shares of hotels, apartments within touristic resorts, villas within touristic resorts, or even serviced apartments or serviced villas, they are not subject to restrictions. So you can purchase this kind of real estate in any place of Portugal because they are for services, so they don't need the protection in terms of the local community. However, if you decide or if you are willing to purchase a real estate for habitational purposes, so a real estate that you are purchasing because you want to relocate or because you want a sole apartment without services attached, in that case, yes, because it's habitational real estate, you are subject to a geographic limitation. And here we have the map to have a big perspective on where it's eligible and where it's not eligible. And basically, what it's important to have in mind is, as general rule, of course, there are exceptions, that the region that are eligible for habitational real estate is the interior of Portugal. And some clients ask, okay, it's interior of Portugal, but do you have universities in the interior of Portugal? Yes, we have. Do you have good accessibilities and hospitals? Yes, we have. If you see Portugal in the map, you will see that from Lisbon to the north, or Lisbon to the south, or Lisbon to the east, so to Spain, it's not more than 3 hours and a half by car. So actually we are a very small country, so it's easy to access all the places. But even so, there are some regions that they go out of this geographic restriction, and you can have beachfront eligible places for habitational real estate. So here it's important to have a good advisor, a good realtor, a good broker, and to select the properties that are eligible for real estate purposes and for the Golden Visa application in Yared. And an additional topic, because the Portuguese government is actually willing to attract as much as possible the investment to the interior of Portugal. The Portuguese government has also adopted another measure, and this measure regards to the benefits in terms of minimum amounts of investments. And this means that if the property is located in the interior of Portugal, and here we have a slightly different map because it depends on the geographic divisions that we have in Portugal and administrative divisions. If the property is located in the interior of Portugal, you can benefit of a 20% reduction on the minimum amount of investments. And this means that we are under the same options, the 500,000 and the 350 in terms of requirements, but in terms of value of investments, the Portuguese government offers a 20% discount. So if the property is in the interior of Portugal, the 500,000 requirements, they stay, but the minimum amount of investment drops for 400,000. The 350, the same, the requirements are the same, but the minimum amount of investment drops to 280. So you can find actually 4 options of real estate investment depending on the age of the building, the purpose of the building, and the location of the building. Just to finish here the topic about Golden Visa, because I know Yared wants to go and show some specific opportunities. Just to tell you that the process, it seems bureaucratic, It takes time, of course, it takes time because the volume of applications we are having, but we can divide it into 4 small steps. You have the step where you need to choose the providers, lawyers, broker, tax representative, bank in Portugal. You have a second step where you open the bank account, you select the investment, the lawyers will do due diligence, you will prepare the capital. Sorry. Sorry. A third step where you will have the investment itself in terms of contracts and the proof of investment, because for the Portuguese Golden Visa, you can only make the application after getting the investment done. And finally, the application for the Golden Visa itself, which it's divided in the online stage, where there is a pre-analysis of all the applications and all the documents, and in the end, the in-person application, where you come to Portugal with the family members that are willing to have the card for biometric data collections. In terms of timings, although in the beginning and some months ago, we would have a process approved between 6 to 8 months. At this moment, we are still dealing with refugees from Ukraine. We are still dealing with backlogs from COVID. And the queue at this moment means a waiting period to have between the beginning and to have a residency card of more or less 1.5 years. Yared.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah, for that. Maybe if what I will do now is let me share some projects that are available for Golden Visa, and then once I've done that, it's just to kind of give you a broad overview about our portfolio, what we have, and kind of give everybody a bit of an understanding of what to be expecting. And then we'll kind of open up a little bit for Q&A, and kind of take it from there. So yeah, so let me kind of just give you a kind of overview in regards to that. So
in the meantime, please do use the chat function to put your questions in, so you don't have to wait and forget them.
Oh, chat is disabled.
I'm being told chat is disabled.
Yeah, that's right. If you have any questions, there is a Q&A form on your in your kind of search bar, where you can kind of press in and write the questions, and kind of once we are done here, we will kind of go through those questions as well. So yeah, so what I'll be presenting now is just kind of give everybody a bit of an overview in regards to what to expect. So in regards to this, the different options, obviously, Sarah explained a little bit in regards to the different prices of the Golden Visa and why they are in that matter. Obviously, if you have any further questions or anything that's interesting, feel free to reach out to any of us, and we kind of dive in a little bit more to that. So I'm just going to present, just trying to be respectful of time and have time to do the Q&A as well. Like I mentioned, if you have questions, write them in the Q&A form and we'll try to answer them. So this is a project that's being built in Lisbon. This is called the Skyview Hotel. Basically, what they're going to build here is a 4-star hotel. This is an investment for 350,000 euros. The total project size is 73,500,000. This is going to be for 210 investors with 230 rooms, and with parking, obviously. This is very kind of, I'm giving you a bit of a presentation. What's interesting with this project is obviously its location. You are situated right close to the airport. Obviously, a couple of minutes drive to the downtown Lisbon area, Praça de Comércio. As well as Parque de Noces, which is on your left-hand screen, which is a great area. The Oceanarium is also great. I go there with the kids at least once a week. I don't know how many times you can see sharks in a fish tank, but at least I do it a little bit often. But this is obviously a project that's under development. So here the developer is offering a 3% annual return after the hotel has been opened. Also here you have a guarantee buyback, meaning that the developer you would buy back its unit after your golden visa period as well. As well as here also the developer is giving the IMT tax, which is the big amount of tax is paid by the developer as well. This is around 15,000 euros, so it's a nice little discount to have as well. So yeah, so this is a little bit about the 3D renderings. This is kind of the project that's going to be done in regards to the hotel, just to kind of give people an overview and understanding. Obviously here you would own a hotel unit in regards to the investment option. And like Sarah mentioned as well, the reason why this is 350 is because this is a touristic apartment, obviously, in regards to that. So yeah, so here you have a little bit of an overview in regards to the project. So so like I mentioned, so this is what a 350 investment would look like, just to kind of give everybody an understanding in regards to that. So, okay, so 1 second. Okay, so
That is.
so this is another project. This is a project that's being developed in Porto. This is called, I think someone has the mic on. This is a project being developed in Porto. It's called Fervenza Palace. So here you have this is an old 18th century palace that's being fully restored. This is up in Porto, so obviously here you have amazing location as well, close to shops, restaurants, kind of enjoying everything in regards to kind of the location. This is going to be 17 apartments, all going to have from the second floor and up, you're going to have beautiful views. This is a little bit the 3D renderings of the project. It's set to be done by Q1 next year. So well aware in the construction phase as well. So this is going to be studios, T1s and T2s. So as you can see, this is also going to have townhouses, 2 townhouses on the back of the building as well. So you can see here, this is the balcony from, I think, the 3rd floor. So what's interesting with this project is obviously not only the aspect of having a unit that's in a great location in Porto, which is a very popular tourist destination as well, is here this project is for 500,000. But after your golden visa period is over, is that you actually own this unit, meaning that once your period is over, you can either kind of continue to either have it short rent by the management company that's been doing it during your golden visa period, or you can rent it out long term, or you can sell it, or you can do kind of use it if you're going to be visiting Porto often. But this could be an option for anyone interested in kind of more tangible real estate assets, if you will. Also, if you are investing 500,000 in a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment, also, I mean, this after your 5-6 years, even if you want to sell it, you're in a prime location, so you're probably going to enjoy some capital appreciations during those 5 to 6 years. So once you kind of are selling this apartment, you're most likely in a good position as well. So yeah, so this is kind of a different aspect and project. So the first one was in Lisbon. This project is in Porto. It's called the Fervenza Palace. This is just kind of a little bit floor plans and 3D renderings of the project. So this is a project also that's being developed in Borbra. This is called Grande Vista. So this is a winery and wellness resort being constructed in Borbra. Borba is a place in Ebro and Alentejo. It's border to Spain almost, have rich history and culture in regards to the region. So just as you can see here on the map, that Borba is an hour 45 from Lisbon. You have great access. I don't know if you see there, but tourists that's going that are driving car to Lisbon go through the A5 and A6. So that kind of goes by this resort that's being built as well. So very good in location. Ebra and Alentejo is very world-renowned in the wine and cork industry. Some of the best wine and cork industries in the world is getting produced in the Alentejo and Ebro region. So obviously it makes sense in developing this in that region as well. So what they're doing here at this project, they are converting an old convento from the 14th century into a five-star wellness resort. So this is eligible for the 280K Golden Visa, which is the cheapest Golden Visa to be required. So we just saw the 350, 500, and now we're seeing a 280K Golden Visa. This is just to give everybody kind of an understanding of the project. So you have here, this is going to be a wellness and spa resort and winery as well. So you're going to have olive cork production, wine production. You're going to have freehold units as well as a 5-star luxury spa. It sets over 14 hectares of land. They're just negotiating right now with the hotel management, which would be a 5-star hotel management in regards to this project as well. So this is an interesting, especially if you have anyone interested in winery, in wellness and spa. This could be definitely something to be interested to be a part of. Just to kind of give everybody a bit of an understanding about this project. So obviously they have several different kind of services in this resort, recreation, in regards to kind of, horseback riding and everything like that, anything you can imagine. Obviously this is correlated to the wine industry as well. You'd have a tasting room and kind of be in production of that. Obviously have the cork industry and kind of having that as sales as well. I think what's interesting here is obviously this is kind of the rundown in regards to the project. So you would have you would do an investment of 280K. Interesting here is that you would have a buyback guaranteed as well. So meaning that the developer would buy back your participation unit, and then you would have a capital protection program as well. One second here. Sorry. So yeah. So this is a little bit about the 3D. This is a little bit about the 3D renderings. This is what it's going to look like when it's done. This is going to be the freehold units with the pool, obviously. So this is just to give everybody a broad overview in regards to project. I think we have some Q&A questions here. Let's see if we can get them here. Sarah, I have here, I'll probably answer that. So it says, how does the broker get paid in Portugal? So that's probably for me. So the broker gets paid via the seller. So that would be, in this case, the developer. So you would have a sales agreement together with the developer. Worth saying here as well is obviously nest seekers are heavy on referrals as well. So if you have clients or anything that's kind of looking, we are more than happy to share our part of the commission with anyone outside of Portugal, and obviously definitely in the US. So feel free to reach out if you or you have clients looking for that opportunity. So we have a question, maybe this could be for you, Sarah. They're asking legal cost, basically a ballpark question from Mr. Fellner.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so in terms of costs, the costs that the applicant need to have in consideration are the investment fee, of course, the taxes when purchasing a real estate in Portugal that go around the 7% in total. Besides that, in terms of the costs to the immigration office, it should count in the first year with around 6,000 per person, okay? So each person gets a card, each person gets the access to citizenship within 5 years. And in terms of legal costs, will be around the 6,000 to 7,000, of course, depends on the option of investment, the complexity, the law firm that is associated. And besides that, you should add also the VAT, because real estate acquisition in Portugal, the legal services are subject to VAT, as well as it is in the tax representation. That basically is for you to have a Portuguese taxpayer number that will allow you to purchase real estate, to open a bank account in Portugal, and to have a relationship with the Portuguese tax authority, although as a non-tax resident, so without any kind of tax implications.
Okay, wonderful. We have also another question from Alexei, asking, are all 100% applications getting approved, or are there some cancellations?
So all the applications that fulfill the objective requirements of the law, which means personal documents, investments, and the formalities of the documents, and they are submitted in time, they are approved. There are no possibility to refuse. However, I can tell you that there are some cases that are refused, mostly or because of criminal records, or second, because they have not fulfilled the deadlines. It's important when applied to this kind of process to have all the documents in place, because the deadlines the immigration office can give as extensions to provide documents, they are short, and they will delay the process. And sometimes you pass 1 day, you pass 2 days, and you don't have the documents. And in the end, you will fail to comply without any reason. So you should apply when you have all the documents, so you can have a successful application.
Okay, wonderful. I read your question. I read your question here, Sonny Ren, in regards to the Fervenza Palace. How much is the townhouse investment? I can send you kind of the price list in regards to that project, and we can kind of have. But I think that townhouse is around 580. But once again, I'll reach out to you personally and kind of give you the full scope of that project. I'll also do that to you, Alexei, in regards to those the 280 questions. I mean, do we also have one question here, just to clarify, if the property for a person for personal living, not rental or service, are there limitations for location?
So that's the topic that we mentioned.
Yeah.
If the license of the property is for habitational, there are geographic restrictions. If the license of the property is for services, there are no geographic restrictions, although you can still, and it's possible to have apartments and villas with this service license.
Wonderful. Okay, so we have a question from Douglas asking, does one have to speak fluently Portuguese or pass a language test to get residency and citizenship?
For the Golden Visa, no, there are no language requirements, and the program will last for 5 years. After 5 years, you can either continue with the Golden Visa if you wish, without any language requirements, as long as you want. However, if you decide to go for the permanent residency or for the citizenship, yes, there is a language requirement that is the basic level of A2. So in Europe, we have A, B, and C, being the C the most proficient and the A the most basic. And in this case will be A2, the level that you need to learn of Portuguese, which usually is connected with more or less 150 hours of studying.
Okay, wonderful. I think we'll just do a couple more before we're gonna wrap up here. So we have a question here. I think that I just answered that one. Yeah, I mean, I think I think that's about it, what we have for time here. I just want to be respectful for everyone's time. Obviously, here, if you have any further questions or anything like that, feel free to reach out to either John at the New York office. Obviously, I'm at the Portugal office, or you have Sarah in regards to any legal matters as well. I mean, thanks so much. Hold on, there's one last question. There's always a last question. We have a question from Scott here before we wrap up, Sarah. How long can you keep the Golden Visa?
Yes, as long as you wish. If you don't move to permanent residency or citizenship, you can keep the Golden Visa without any language requirements or tax implications. The only thing is, to keep Golden Visa, you need to keep your investment. From the moment that you want to sell your investment, or you apply for PR, permanent residency, or apply for citizenship, or you apply to any other immigration program that we have available in Portugal.
All right, wonderful. John, anything to add to this?
I think it's important to add that, you know, the presentation was comprehensive from the offerings perspective. It's comprehensive from the legal perspective. So it's important to drive home the point that we're a one-stop shop. The idea is that we can service the clientele, whether they're investment clientele, whether they are looking for residential purchase. We can advise on all of those transactions. And we in New York, we play very well with our offices abroad. We like to keep it in the family, so to speak. So if there are any questions or follow-ups, please do reach out, and please do make use of all the expertise that is at your disposal, quite frankly.
All right. I mean, that's about it. I mean, thanks everybody for taking the time. I think it's it's about that time. So thanks everybody for taking the time. Like I said, reach out to any of us. We'll put our contact information as well here if you have any questions. Thanks so much, John. Thanks so much, Sarah, for taking your time. That's about it.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.